Good morning, guys. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. This is the market preview for 5/1/2019. Welcome to May. Past performance is not indicative of future results, right? This is for educational purposes only. I am sharing my trade plan with you in hopes that it makes you a better trader. However, following me blindly has substantial risk to it. I do take stops, as demonstrated yesterday morning. I also take pretty big wins, particularly when I get into a rhythm. So the objective here is to find your winning trades, what your highest odds setups are, and what the trade is that works for you best relative to the amount of risk you can take, and what your psychological level to sustain both pain and a reward. So let's get rolling. So this is CL's levels. You can see we opened up right down into yesterday's lows. It's inventory day. I don't do anything before really 10 o'clock, 9:45 if it's really slow, which has been the case as of late. But I'll let the numbers come out and then make a decision. I do want to point out one thing before rolling off of CL, which was yesterday's trade. Here, let's scoot this over. There we go. All right, I just want to go to the waves real quick and the entry method with the algo. And if we look yesterday at CL, the 7 range, I'm going to erase all these lines. There we go. Now what you will see, right, so from yesterday morning at 8 o'clock, right, so if you look early in the morning, here's clearly, everyone see this? This is the last wave up, right? So if you look, you tag the bottom of the wave, right, and then you look. So number one, it doesn't mean that it can't be short up here, right? So you'll see me taking aggressive trades. That zone was not there, so you have to ignore the zones, right? But what it does mean, right? So if you look up here, here's your last wave up. That's 4 up, right? If you look, but that's your last big wave. So if you look, this pretty much coincides with the top of this wave, meaning you had to get underneath both this wave and you had to get underneath. So there's 2 objectives, right? You had to get underneath this wave right here, and you had to get underneath this wave as well, right? So if you look, we get a final shift up, shift down, right, where we closed underneath the last shift up. Now, as everyone knows, because they've seen me take a couple stops in the last couple of days, that is an aggressive entry for me, right? Very aggressive. 0 to 10, it's a 10, right? I'm not underneath anything. I have no one trapped, and it's trend day up. I didn't take that trade, right? But if you'll look, now we're underneath the last wave, right? The last wave up, right, which is right here. You'll see that it fell away immediately. Then you'll see we get to the base of the next wave, which is right here. I'm going to highlight it and then unhighlight so everyone can see it. Here's the base of the wave. We get underneath, and you can see we danced around, and then we finally rolled underneath, and you can see that's what served as resistance. So I was waiting to get long above that at 64.14. It never triggered, okay? If you'll then look at the bottom of the rotation, right, if we're looking for ways to pick up a trade, right, all I'm doing, I'm not interested in these up waves. I'm interested in the down waves, right? And what you'll see is this. I'm going to mark this. There's 2 that are interested, but in particular, this is the last wave down. I'm going to count as an actual wave, and then you get right there, okay? And then you finally get this little 3 across right at the bottom. So see the 3 across, it gets highlighted. There's a shift up above the 3 across, right? Lift. Here's the last wave down right here if you put a line over it. Nope, didn't want that. Last wave down. Right here, close above, and then you will see that we danced in between that all day long. See how I backside tested that? And then in the evening, we got underneath this last wave up over here, which was this wave right here, and it's been serving as resistance all night long, and they finally pushed down, and then they pushed back up after they get above the last wave, and here we are, right? So that is what you're looking for. Either you're going to take the most aggressive trades at the apex or wait till you get over the waves. I think the easier way is simply to wait till you get above the waves, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, I'm happy to teach you how to do it. It's pretty straightforward. So that's CL for today. And if we look overnight, right, we come back in, erase all lines. Right, here's our last big push down, if there's such a thing, prior to CL trading. right? We have to get above this point. You can see all we've done is come down right off the open and test the opening wave. If we can get above this point, right, and then we want to hold, just don't want to back below basically 63.40. But first you have to print above the top of the wave, and then my entry method would be half, stop underneath. And again, I'm not going to take it prior to numbers anyways. I'm just waiting for that trade to set up later in the AM, and it makes sense that we're just kind of chopping and consolidating in front of the numbers. So long story short, that's what's going on with CL, right? So your entry would be the close above, and then you don't want it to close above with a point of control with the bar underneath the mid of this actual rotation down. And actually, this is incorrect. Here, let me redraw this. It still comes out the same pretty much. It's 63.42 is what you don't want the point of control underneath. Once you close above this way for a pushback to the upside, and again, no trades prior to the number for me. Okay, let's go to plan B. Let's go do NQ real quick. You'll see we're in a totally balanced profile. We're clearly going to gap right to the top of the range. We're currently trading at 78.46, if that is correct. Let me verify for everyone. 78.46.75. So basically, this has just become a big old mess right here, right? The whole thing's just sweeping back and forth. I prefer the setups off the waves when it's like that, but we still have to have levels, so let's do levels. All right, so that goes, that goes, that goes. All that noise goes away. And then that goes away. First swing high, all-time high, fire days high, fire days low. All this is really easy stuff. By the way, this was a untested point of control. See how that was the actual low? Here, I'll erase this line. That was the prior days. That was a prior untested TPO point of control. See that blue line? See how the volume point of control got taken out, but the TPO, which is the blue line, did not get taken out? So normally that would be a weak location, but in a bull market, it gets responded to. If you look at that same level like that when we were heading down, say in December, let me get rid of this. When we were headed down in December, right, this gets blown through really easily. But in a bull market, holds really nicely. Apple's numbers were good. I don't see any reason to want to fade this market for anything other than a scalp. I'd be in a covering mode no matter what I did, right? So, and then let's see what we have in here. Wow, this is just all not fun. Chop area. There's my dog chiming in. And let me close that door and see if it helps at all. Oh, that should keep her barking away. Settle price. That's an ugly profile right there, guys. That's not much to hang your hat on. All the volumes up here, the TPO and the volume point of controls here, but the concentration of volume. Actually, now that I look at that, hold on a second. Got it wrong. There we go. Volume point of control, TPO point of control, and it's an ugly profile. So that probably gets chopped through or chopped around a lot in this area if we get back down into it. We're just not bearish, so the weak levels, that would normally, I would expect that to get in a balanced market or a wide-ranging two-sided balanced market, I would expect this to get blown through. they're holding in a strong bull market. That's just all there is to it. And then if you look over here, we have that. And actually, this entire structure up here, that's valid resistance, 48 to 58. There's nothing else on that profile. You get above 58, and it should roll. I'd watch for the break of initial balance. For the first 30 seconds of initial balance, it's likely just to rip straight up this morning. So I will attempt that trade off the open. That is a very aggressive trade, so make sure you can take the loss on it, is my suggestion, right? Again, I'll say it again. It's a very aggressive trade, right? When I take those trades in the first 30 seconds, so make sure you can deal with it. There's no, by definition, these are new highs. There's no resistance up here. Draw all the lines you want. There is no resistance up on top. And this is a consolidation of a bull market move. There's just no reason to be anything but bullish on this chart, right? You want to be looking for turns and pushes down. Negative stories are going to get bought. Negative earnings are getting bought. You want to be a buyer on rotations down as much as possible. The question is your formula and for how you're getting in. I know how I want to get in. I'll review it in just a minute. Let me post this up really quick. Here's the 5-minute chart. That is not right. Let's do this. Kill this. Yes. Well, that is. And then you can see if we use an overnight chart, that's pretty much, that yellow zone is pretty much served as resistance and support all night long. You got the gap fill, half gap. Remember, if you don't get into yesterday's value area or the point of control or the prior high, it's bullish. I'm hesitant to short a gap like this. It may work. You're welcome to try it. It's not insane. It can work. It's just any trade's viable as long as you know the win percentage and you're willing to take the loss, right? And remember, even 100%, 99% trade has, out of 1,000 trades, that means you're going to have at least, right, 10 randomly distributed losses. And that's if you have a 99% win rate, right? So even a 75% win rate over 1,000 trades means you have 250 randomly distributed trades. That means, hypothetically, you could have 250 losses in a row on a winning trade, right? So you just have to remember to keep up with your process over and over and over again, and make sure the process you're trading isn't something that you've just randomly pulled out of the air and that you're willing to take over and over again. It is the secret to success repeatedly. Okay, so that's what we look like overnight. I don't care about the overnight, so I'm just going to back this back down to a session. And we are at 15 minutes till the open. So let's post these levels up. Not that there's a lot of cool levels on there, but we will post what we have. And again, that 7650 is the closest thing I have is to really good solid support down there. So here we go, chart. There's NQ, and let's do ES really quick. Mark that over here. Y'all give me a quick minute. I'm going to step away for just a second and refill my coffee, and then we will knock ES out last. Actually, I need to do Russell as well now that I think about it. So hold on one second. Let's just, again, that's a total bullish chart right there. Or I don't like how it's making me do that. That's fine. Notice yesterday's high is the same as Monday's high, right? I would guess that they're going to try and defend that 29.50 area first time in, right? Give me just a second. We'll finish this out real quick. And then obviously new all-time highs above that. Okay. Some fresh coffee never hurt anybody. Let's do this real quick. So you have a double distribution. So that's a little bit, normally this, okay, so this comes with a caveat. Normally this would be blue, but it's a double distribution. It's the distribution furthest away. So it actually becomes yellow, but just realize we can chop in this area, okay? This should get a response, right? They're both valid locations because of the double distribution, right? And if, assuming we don't test this today, in the future, this will actually become a strong support resistance area. And outside, just you need to skip one day to make that a strong support resistance area is all you need to do. And I'm looking forward to grabbing that there. There's nothing above. It's just clean sailing. I don't project where the resistance areas are. This market can run a lot. You don't, I know you can cap shorts from up above at new all-time highs, but really, so just not my thing. So that's the levels for today. And let's hope ES, I don't have to duplicate this chart. I don't think I do. There we are. And you're looking for that break of that initial balance, right? You want to see, you just caution on this. You want to make sure you get above the all-time high, but there was no down yesterday, right? This was all some fake China news, and you can see we brought it all the way back. You know this swing becomes important now, right? So where all the responses were off of, quote, supposed news. So it's pretty easy point to mark off, right? And I don't have anything else. And if we make it down to 29.08, I'd frankly be shocked. I just look for levels higher and dips, and you're looking to trap sellers who are late to the party. Let's see if we can edit, copy chart to BMP. File, save as. Yeah, so 501, save. Okay, and then let's finally do really quick and like I stressed, if you have the small range bars on your chart, I would definitely have a bigger time frame of some sort, any sort, to help you figure out which way the market's going, and so you don't get lost in the weeds. Really, really important. CL is obviously open, drive higher, but again, all of that will be put on hold when the number comes out. Really, the only reason oil ever went down to begin with was because of the president's comments, right? You can look at the chart and make all the arguments you want, but what actually drove it down were the president's comments, and that usually reverses itself relatively quickly. And that show will get old, right? The first time he did it back a couple months ago, it had a pretty big impact. Look how much smaller the impact was this time relative to last time, right? So he will obviously try that again, right? Which is fine. It's not a political commentary. It's just a market observation, right? He will try it again, and eventually the market's just going to go, whatever, right? So it'll have a one-day wonder, and it'll get less and less on its impact, and then the market will resume doing whatever it was doing prior to the event. Okay, so let's get the Russell done really quick. And you can see Russell's still in just a massive balance area, right? Let's go fix this real quick. This will be an easy chart to correct because there's just not a whole lot to do here. Again, that is an area I expect a lot of choppiness in, is in the prior days point of control, right? The easiest places to trade away. You'll notice underneath, see how we're lacking any points of control all the way down to 1564 now? I need to check that out. That's still valid, but it was almost tested on the 23rd, so it remains a blue area. And then this yellow zone down here is the next area. So there is room for a correction to the downside because of the lack of points of control that have been untested, and there's no anomalies. If you'll look, there's no anomalies underneath. That being said, you're going to have to find sellers, and at the top of the market, it's hard to do it, right? Longs are easier than shorts. And you can see what we did was we repaired this anomaly right here yesterday. And then we came down this big anomaly, but this was the over-under right here. If you look at that 1584, that was the over-under. Anyways, that's all I've got on that. You're right at new all-time highs. There's no resistance above by definition. So I wouldn't be surprised to see an open drive higher on that, but we'll wait and see what they do. And then the Fed this afternoon. And the market's probably in a coma until the Fed. We probably get some variation on balance is usually what you would want to guess. So I pull the Russell up over here. And then I'm going to talk about the opening rotation. That's pretty much it. Not very glamorous, is it? It's all happy until it's not, but right now it is. Edit, copy chart BMP, file, JPEG. There, so guys, on the Slack channel, everything's been uploaded. All the charts have been uploaded now. So just really quickly, let's get this over. There's nothing to discuss from the 5 other than I need a way to look at what the heck's actually going on. So there's that. There's that. Everything's gapping. CL's running. Let's get rid of this and go talk about a trade. Okay, so here, get rid of this. So, right, what you will see here. Why don't I have on this chart? See something here. CL, I should have the initial balance on this trade. Let's see something here. and I don't, so I will fix it really quick. There we go. That's the initial balance off the first 30 seconds of the day. You can see as soon as we closed above that initial balance right there, just took off straight to the upside. I mean, it's a perfect long trade. That's what you're looking for. I wasn't ready to trade at 8 a.m., but that's pretty much a picture perfect look. Obviously, if you don't get below this wave at this point, because all we have to do is go off the last wave, that's the strongest wave up of the overnight. Look for potential, as of now, long liquidation underneath 83.30. And here we can do this really quick. Account settings. So that is prior day's low, prior day's high. Blue is resistance. Blue is resistance, both weak areas, meaning I think they can get traded through. I believe if we go look at the profile real quick, this is, we're right into yesterday's point of control, both on volume and on TPO. That's a choppy area in general. So it can be traded through, it can reject quickly, or it can just sit there and chop. It's just a very difficult place to initiate a trade. And I prefer to trade away from that area back to support, right? So anyway, long story short, the best trade was the opening trade there, and I plan to attempt to replicate that trade on NQ as soon as we open. My guess is some attempt to the upside. I will wait for the first 30 seconds, and I'll take the close to the upside. That is a super aggressive trade, right, guys? You just have to be willing to lose the money on that trade. There's no other way to describe that other than to say, after the initial balance is established, as soon as we trade above, so yesterday's a good example, right? And I have exactly 1 minute to show you this, so I'm going to do it quickly. That's the open. This is initial balance. That's the close above. That's the push. That's the whole trade right there, right? Here's the initial balance. Here's the first trade underneath. Right? That's the first trade underneath. Your stop goes on top of initial balance and down it rolls. So I'll be taking both of those trades today, which means I'm willing to take the stops, right? Well, I got to make sure my NQ is up. One. And it is lightning fast sometimes, okay? So don't expect it to be like, oh, it'll show up and it'll just go. After that, getting underneath this wave is obviously imperative at this point for the shorts. And so we will go from there. We just opened, and in 30 seconds, 2 little lines will appear on my chart. Where's the freaking top of initial balance? That's not there yet. We'll see the lines appear. In a second. Same on ES. I do believe those lines should be there by now. And that's it. That's the bottom of initial balance. Where's the heck is the line on top? Ah, there it is. 78.45. That is correct. 78.45 and a quarter. I will be long 78.45.50. limit to buy, right? The stop will be literally 2 ticks below 78.40 and a quarter. So 78.40, I'll probably just put it 1 tick underneath the low of the day. So I'm limit to buy 78.45.50. It's the top of the initial balance. I am long 78.45.50. Stop low of the day, which puts me at 38.75 for a stop. And it can get stopped. I'll take that twice. All right. First scale goal is 10 points. Technically, the break of that low would also be a trigger to the downside. I'm not going to short that gap. Just me. And if they flush it, so be it. I'm all right with that's a pretty small stop to start the day with, right? And when it works, it looks like that CL trade did. And when it doesn't, it's just a quick stop. I would not take more than 3 stops on this trade on any given session. It adds up quickly. And again, I have my stop right below the low of the day. And it looks like that's going to get tagged, although it hasn't yet. Still not stopped. I'm sure they may come for me this morning. And that stopped. And that's okay, right? If it trades back up again, I will attempt the long one more time. I will not short it. I know it's traded underneath. I just won't take the short. Why isn't this? Again, a trade back above that 78.45 area, I will try that once more. I'm willing to take that on a small loss. So that is minus whatever that was, 7 points. Again, the win rate is mixed on that, right? It's about 50 to 60%, but the RR is insane when you get it on the correct side. Again, had I taken the short, I suppose you could have argued that I could have taken that short, right? Once it broke IB low, the initial balance low, and gotten paid. It's all right. I'm not willing to short. I'm not willing to short NQ. Not here, not yet. Let it fall apart and actually have a down day. So now I have a down wave in addition, right? So if I get a close above this wave, again, that would also confirm and set up the long as well. Nice roll to the downside. And on the econ front, we have, one thing I didn't look up this morning. Annual manufacturing PMI at 8:45, basically in 6 minutes. And 10 a.m. we have ISM manufacturing construction spending. Then we have the FOMC statement at 1 o'clock. Crude oil inventories at 9:30. Woohoo! Should be fun. And there's the other side of that trade. Again, if I triggered in, which I did, 45.50. Again, 45.50 is my long again. Stops the other end of this range again. It's right in front of the numbers. I have 5 minutes to make this trade work, right? So you can see as soon as it took me at 45.50, it pushed almost 5 points. And it should continue, get a continuation to the upside, right? Again, you also had speed bar shift 3 across, fractal shift up, which is also pretty good trading. Start again. If I take a stop on this, which again, my stop will be right underneath this time, I'll put it right at the exact same spot, which is going to be that 38.75, 38 essentially. Let's see, 38, 39.75. So I'm going to move it to 39.25 as my stop on this. Okay. And it's your call as to whether or not you're comfortable taking that trade. I am. Again, I may get stopped, and I understand that I'm trading right in news, and I understand that. The trade is not straightforward. It just has a huge RR, when it pays, it does exactly what CL did, and you just rip it. Okay. Also, unless that stops, I will hold through the econ number on that. Again, that's part of the deal you have to be willing to do on this trade. That trade's not for everybody. Okay. And my first scale on that will be 10 up. You've got to get the RR right on that trade, or you get killed on the stops. And I just got stopped again. So I'll pause till after the numbers now, and that's okay. I'm willing to push to the upside on Apple's numbers. That's okay that I got stopped. All right. I am done, at least for now. And I gave. And here's how that trade works, right? Everyone will see rip, and you'll make a killing 30, 40, 50, 60 points when it works correctly, basically like CL did, right? Where it breaks above and it just goes. You have to be able to sustain the days where it's more difficult. And then you have to figure out which days you're comfortable trading it and which days you're not. And both offered, and then also keep up with your MAE and your MFE. On entry, the first one offered almost 5 points. The second one also offered almost 5 points in P&L almost immediately before ripping to the other side of the balance. Now, I'm not shorting this because I don't think it's a good trade setup. There's the push down. If we close above that last wave down right there, I would expect it to push again. Wave. Okay, so I'm shifting gears now, right? That's a push down right there, right? I get above that wave now, I'd expect it to go. Point of control. That's not a stop buy limit trade. That's a trade where I got to get the bar and the point of control above that 78.48, 78.47.75 for a push back towards Globex highs. Chop open. Russell's inside prior day's points of control. CL's probably going to go into balance here until we get to the 9:30, which is normal. Again, I'm not interested in shorting. I'm all right taking tight stops on this, right? But I'm not all right shorting here. You got to get underneath something that's substantial, right? And right now, it's either this or at least this, right? We need a point of control underneath that push. Let's see if there's anything bigger overnight. There wasn't. I'd want to be at least underneath this. Wait. I did have overnight. It just was a gap. Sorry. That'll get fixed very shortly. So that is overnight, right? You got to get underneath. You got to get underneath this. So they've tested underneath already once, right? See how they got the point right out of the open? But that's fine. That's just testing underneath Globex low. It's just not a bearish formation, right? Unless you're going to shoot for this gap fill. That's a difficult trade with as much strength as NQ's had. So if they sell it, I'm cool. I won't be short. And I'll look for the long off dips. Then I wouldn't confuse not running with sell pressure, right? So it's just chopping and that's fine. I would not confuse that with sell pressure. And our next trading opportunity will probably come after 9 a.m. Yes, it lows at the day. Again, that's not the same as, right, a breakdown. Thank you. Retesting the lows. Hey guys, is the audio there? Can y'all hear me? Randy, is the audio there?